Hello, children. How are you all? It's been quite some time since our last interaction, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourself. Remember, the COVID 19 pandemic is not over, it's still there, and we have to be extra cautious in order to protect ourselves, save ourselves from this virus. And I hope you are doing your best and are taking good care of yourself and your family members. Children, this is my first video after your half-yearly exams. Many of you have done very well in your exams, and the chief reason for doing that is that you have listened to the explanations and have gone through the chapters very carefully, and I hope that you will keep on doing so in your future also. Okay, from now onwards we'll be concentrating on the chapters which will be coming in your final term exams. Okay, so today I'll be starting with your English literature, and we'll be doing a new chapter from your course book. The name of the chapter is The Butterfly Mountain's Shadow. The author of this chapter is Tara Gandhi, who is not only an author but she's also a wildlife conservationist. She has been to many places all over the world. She has traveled to distant places, and she has written many articles sharing her experience. And the chapter The Butterfly Mountain's Shadow, which we are going to do now, is also one such experience. In this chapter, she is sharing with us her trip to Sri Lanka. Now, while Tara was visiting Sri Lanka, she went to visit a shrine which was located on a mountain top. Okay, and it was at a height, it was quite a long journey or a trek, you can say. And while going to that shrine, she observed the nature, she observed the beauty of the nature, and in this chapter, that is what she is sharing with us. Okay, so let us begin with the chapter. Okay, so open page number 54 of your literature course book, and let's begin with the chapter. Annipa, Annipa, I heard a gentle voice say. A little old lady in a white sari was looking at me sympathetically, shaking her head as she repeated the words which mean, "Oh, poor thing," in the Sinhala language. I was sweating profusely, breathing hard, and almost collapsing with exhaustion after climbing for more than 2 hours up the steep mountain path to Adams Peak in Sri Lanka. So, the author Tara Gandhi was visiting a shrine which was located on top of a mountain, and it was called the Adams Peak. And while she was on her way to that shrine, she heard an old lady saying something in Sinhala language. Now, Sinhala is the official language of Sri Lanka. The old lady was uttering Annipa, Annipa, and it actually means, "Oh, poor thing." So why she was saying those words? Because the old lady was looking at Tara, and she could see that Tara was sweating profusely. She was sweating a lot because of the constant climb. The climb to that mountain top was quite steep, and Tara had been walking for almost 2 hours, and she was quite tired, and she was feeling as if she is soon going to collapse. She's soon going to faint because of that continuous journey of that steep mountain path. Along with 4 friends, I had started the trek from the base of the mountain around midnight, which is the correct time to be able to reach the summit at dawn to watch the spectacular sunrise for which it is famous. It was about 2 a.m. and pitch dark all around, except for a snaking row of lights along the path going impossibly high up, almost disappearing into the sky. Maybe that is why Adam's Peak is also called Swargarohanam, climb to heaven. Now, Tara was not alone in her journey to Sri Lanka. She was accompanied by her 4 friends. And when they came to Sri Lanka, people told them that about Adam's Peak, and they were also informed that the sunrise at Adam's Peak is a beautiful sight that they must not miss. And they were also told that it takes around 4 to 5 hours to reach the mountain top from the base. So Tara and her friends decided to start the journey at midnight, so that by the time it's dawn, they'll be at the mountain top and will be very, clearly and will be there to witness the beautiful sunrise. So they start the journey at around midnight, 12 o'clock at night. And after traveling for 2 hours, they stopped for rest. They stopped to take some rest, and they observed that they were totally covered in darkness. The place where they were stopping or they were resting, it was totally dark, but they could see light. That light was coming from the path that was leading to the top of the mountain, because that path was illuminated. So that was the only lighted portion, only illuminated part of their journey. And because it was so beautiful, maybe that was the reason, because the path was leading straight up. So it maybe that is the reason why the path was also is also called Swarg Roham. Swarg is heaven. Okay, so and Roham is road. So Rohanam is climbing. So the path that leads to the Adam's Peak is also called Swarg Rohanam, which means climb to heaven. I realized to my dismay that the rest of the way was going to be an even more strenuous climb up an almost vertical stairway to the mountaintop. Most pilgrims who come to this sacred mountain may have done this marathon 2,243 meter climb many times. But for me and my companions, it was an experience of a lifetime, one of the toughest. Okay, when they had started their journey from the base of the mountain, it was a gradual climb, but slowly as they moved on, they realized that the climb was going to be more tiresome, or strenuous means it will require a lot of energy and effort from them, because the journey, the path was not actually a road, but it was a vertical stairway. It had the different steps were made in order to reach the mountain, and those steps were quite vertical, were quite straight and steep, and therefore they realized that climbing these stairs in order to reach the mountain top is not going to be an easy task. The author also says that maybe for local people it is not much of a problem, because maybe for them they have climbed those steps so many times that it is it's very easy for them. But for Tara and her friends, it was their first climb, and it was one of the toughest for them, because they had never climbed such a steep paths. So they were, for them it was going to be a very difficult task in order to reach, a task which would require a lot of strength, a lot of will to reach the top of the mountain. Adam's Peak is known by a number of names in Sri Lanka. It is a pilgrimage spot for people of many religions because of a footprint-shaped carving on a rock at the summit, which is worshipped by all. For Buddhists, it is Sri Pada, the foot of the Buddha. Hindus consider it Shiva Padam, the footprint of Shiva, while Muslims and Christians consider it to be the footprint of Adam, from which it has its English name. Okay, in this paragraph, the author talks about Adam's Peak, and she says that Adam's Peak is known by many names in Sri Lanka, and it is actually a sacred place. It is a pilgrimage place, a place where people go to worship their gods, and the place is, why that mountain top is a sacred place for the people, because on the top of the mountain, on a rock, there is a sort of a carving which is in the shape of a human foot. So people believe that that footprint is of their god, and that is why they give so much importance to that place. And slowly they started talking to the local people, and they came to know that that footprint carving of the rock, that mountain top, because of that rock carving, is worshipped by people of different religions. For example, the Buddhists also worship, and the carving, the footprint, the Buddhists believe, they have that belief that the footprint is of Lord Buddha, and they call that footprint Sri Pada. Pada is foot. Similarly, Hindus also believe, the Hindu god is Lord Shiv. They say Hindus believe that it is the footprint of Lord Shiva, and that is why they call it Shiv Padam. Padam again means foot. Shiv Padam means foot of Lord Shiva. And Muslims and Christians, both these people believe that the footprint is of Adam, and that is why the name of the mountain has been given the Adam's Peak. Interestingly, the mountain is also the migration route for butterflies, which gives it one more name, Samanalankanda, meaning butterfly mountain in Sinhala. As thousands of butterflies flit uphill from the plains across the country towards Sri Pada every year between December and May, a legend says that they too are on a pilgrimage. It is an extraordinary sight that people say looks almost like a light hailstorm. More than 60 species make this long annual journey. Some of them are the larger varieties such as the great orange tip, the lemon emigrant, and the common albatross, which are pale colored with fast and strong flight. Some are tiny ones that fly weakly and are dark colored, such as the Quaker or the common hedge blue. Along the way, they stop for mud puddling on the ground to absorb salt and minerals from wet soil along with the moisture, or settle on flowers to sip nectar. So the Adam's Peak is also called the Butterfly Mountain or the Samanalakanda because every year many species of butterflies, more than 60 species of butterflies in large numbers, they migrate from the plains toward this mountain. And people who have witnessed this migration, they say that it appears as if they are looking at a hailstorm. Okay, now people have told the author, that more than 60 species of butterflies migrate from the plains towards the mountain peak, towards Adam Peak, and that it includes both kinds of butterflies, the large variety of butterflies as well as the small variety of butterflies. Orange, the great orange tip, the lemon emigrant, and the albatross, common albatross, are some of the larger varieties of the butterfly, whereas the quaker and the common hedge blue are of a smaller variety. The larger variety of butterflies are pale colored and have a very strong flight. They have got strong wings, so they can fly effortlessly. Whereas the weaker or the smaller, tinier ones, tinier butterflies, they are dark colored, and maybe their wings are not very strong. So, it takes more effort from them to reach the mountain top. Okay, and while on their migration, as they migrate from the plains toward this mountain, on their way, they even stop for mud puddling. That is, they try to absorb minerals and salt from and water from the wet soil which they find on their way, and they also drink nectar from flowers in order to nourish themselves, in order to make themselves strong to continue their journey to the Adam's Peak.